Discovery, 2,022 words. In the year 2157, humanity had spread across the stars, establishing colonies and outposts on countless worlds. The United Earth Space Agency, UESA, was tasked with exploring the vast reaches of space, seeking out new life and new civilizations. Dr. Liana Novak, a brilliant astrophysicist, was monitoring the data from the agency's deep space telescopes when she noticed an anomaly. A faint, pulsating signal was emanating from a distant star system, unlike anything she had ever encountered. Intrigued, she brought the discovery to the attention of her superiors. The UESA leadership, recognizing the potential significance of the find, quickly assembled a team to investigate. The research vessel, UES Odyssey, was dispatched with a crew of the brightest minds from various scientific fields. Captain Marcus Donovan, a seasoned explorer with a keen intellect, was chosen to lead the mission. As the Odyssey ventured into uncharted space, the crew grew increasingly excited about what they might discover. Dr. Novak worked tirelessly to pinpoint the source of the signal, guiding the ship toward its destination. Weeks later, they arrived at the star system from which the signal originated. To their surprise, they found a massive alien ship drifting listlessly in orbit around a gas giant. The ship was unlike anything they had encountered, with sleek, organic curves and an iridescent hull that shimmered in the starlight. Captain Donovan ordered the Odyssey to approach cautiously. As they drew closer, they noticed signs of damage on the alien vessel's exterior. It appeared to have been through a battle, with scorch marks and breaches marring its surface. Attempts to hail the ship were met with silence. Scans revealed that the vessel was operating on minimal power, its life support systems barely functioning. Captain Donovan made the decision to assemble a boarding party to investigate further. Dr. Novak, along with a team of scientists and security personnel, boarded the alien ship. Inside, they found a labyrinth of dimly lit corridors and cavernous chambers. The air was thin and stale, and the eerie silence was punctuated only by the hum of their own life support systems. As they explored deeper into the ship, they made a shocking discovery. The corridors were littered with the lifeless bodies of the alien crew. The beings were tall and slender, with smooth gray skin and large almond-shaped eyes. It was clear that they had been dead for some time. Dr. Novak and her team worked to unravel the mystery of what had happened to the alien crew. They collected samples and data, hoping to piece together the events that had led to this tragic end. In the ship's command center, they found a damaged but still functioning data core. With the help of the Odyssey's advanced translation software, they managed to decipher some of the alien language. The information they gleaned painted a grim picture. The alien ship, they learned, was a refugee vessel fleeing from a powerful, hostile empire that had conquered their home world. The crew had hoped to find sanctuary in a distant part of the galaxy, but they had been pursued relentlessly. In a desperate attempt to escape their pursuers, the aliens had pushed their ship to its limits, overloading its engines and causing catastrophic damage. Most of the crew had perished in the process, leaving only a handful of survivors. As Dr. Novak and her team delved deeper into the alien ship's records, they discovered something even more alarming. The hostile empire that had pursued the refugee ship was not content with conquering a single world. They were a ruthless, expansionist power, bent on subjugating all civilizations in their path. Worst of all, the data suggested that Earth, and humanity itself, lay directly in the path of the Empire's inexorable advance. The Odyssey had stumbled upon not just a tragedy, but a dire warning of an impending threat to their own species. Captain Donovan, Dr. Novak, and the rest of the crew knew that they had to act quickly. They gathered what information and technology they could from the alien ship and prepared to return to Earth with their harrowing discovery. As the Odyssey set course for home, its crew members were filled with a sense of urgency and purpose. They knew that the fate of humanity might well rest on their shoulders, and that they had to warn their people of the danger that lurked among the stars. Little did they know that this was only the beginning of a journey that would test the limits of human ingenuity, resilience, and courage in the face of an implacable foe. The discovery of the alien ship had set in motion a chain of events that would change the course of history, not just for humanity, but for the entire galaxy. First contact, 1,987 words. As the UES Odyssey sped back towards Earth, its crew worked tirelessly to decipher more of the alien ship's data. Dr. Liana Novak, in particular, was driven by a fierce determination to unravel the mysteries of the alien technology and language. Days into their journey, a faint distress signal caught their attention. It was coming from a small, uncharted planetary system not far from their course. Captain Marcus Donovan, despite the urgency of their mission, could not ignore a call for help. As they approached the source of the signal, they found a small, battered spacecraft drifting in space. Scans revealed a single life form aboard, weak but alive. Without hesitation, Captain Donovan ordered a rescue operation. The alien they brought aboard was unlike any being they had encountered. It was insectoid in appearance, with a hard, chitinous exoskeleton and multifaceted eyes that glittered with intelligence. Despite its strange appearance, the creature seemed grateful for the rescue. Dr. Novak and her team worked to establish communication with the alien, whom they nicknamed Click due to the chittering sounds it made. Progress was slow at first, but with the aid of the ship's advanced translation software and Click's own quick understanding, they began to break through the language barrier. Click revealed that it was a scout from a civilization called the Clicks, who had been monitoring the expansion of the hostile empire. The Clicks had long been aware of the threat posed by this aggressive power, but their own technology and resources were limited. When Click learned of the Odyssey's discovery of the refugee ship and the dire warning it contained, it became even more eager to cooperate with the humans. It shared what knowledge it had of the hostile empire, which it called the Zorgans. The Zorgans, Click explained, were a race of conquerors, driven by a belief in their own superiority and a ruthless desire for domination. They had advanced technology, vast armies, and a complete disregard for the lives and freedoms of other species. Captain Donovan and his crew realized that the situation was even more dire than they had initially thought. With the knowledge provided by Click, they began to understand the true scale of the threat posed by the Zorgans. As the Odyssey continued its journey back to Earth, Click became an invaluable ally and friend to the crew. It worked closely with Dr. Novak and her team, sharing its knowledge of advanced propulsion systems and energy shields, technology that could prove crucial in defending against the Zorgans. The bond between humans and Clicks grew stronger as they shared stories of their respective cultures and histories. Click was fascinated by human ingenuity and adaptability, while the crew marveled at the Clicks' advanced understanding of biology and ecology. However, their journey was not without peril. As they passed through a dense asteroid field, they were ambushed by a Zorgan scout ship. The ensuing battle was fierce, with the Odyssey's crew utilizing every scrap of knowledge and technology they had gleaned from Click and the refugee ship to defend themselves. In a daring maneuver, Captain Donovan used the asteroid field to his advantage, luring the Zorgan ship into a trap and destroying it with a well-placed shot from the Odyssey's newly upgraded weapon systems. The victory was hard-won, but it served to cement the bond between the humans and Click. They had fought side by side, their fates now intertwined in the face of a common enemy. As Earth grew closer, the crew of the Odyssey knew that their mission had taken on a new dimension. They were no longer just explorers and scientists. They were ambassadors, forging an alliance that could determine the fate of not just humanity, but countless other civilizations across the galaxy. With Click by their side, they prepared to deliver their warning to Earth and to rally humanity's forces for the coming storm. The first contact with the Clicks had been a turning point, a moment when two species had found common ground in the face of annihilation. But the real battle was yet to come. As the Odyssey entered Earth's orbit, its crew steeled themselves for the challenges ahead, knowing that the survival of their species and the freedom of the galaxy itself would depend on the strength of the bonds they had forged and the courage they could muster in the face of an implacable foe. Revelations, 2041 words. As the UES Odyssey landed on Earth, it was greeted with a mix of wonder and apprehension. The sight of an alien being, Click, emerging from the ship alongside the human crew, sent shockwaves through the media and the public alike. Captain Marcus Donovan and Dr. Liana Novak were quickly whisked away to a secure UESA facility where they briefed the organization's top officials on their harrowing discoveries. The news of the Zorgan Empire and the impending threat to Earth was met with a mix of disbelief and grim determination. In the days that followed, world leaders were brought into the fold, and a global effort to prepare for the coming conflict began in earnest. Click, with its knowledge of Zorgan technology and tactics, became an invaluable advisor to Earth's military strategists. As the planet mobilized for war, Dr. Novak and her team worked tirelessly to unravel more secrets from the data recovered from the refugee ship and Click's own vessel. What they discovered sent shockwaves through the scientific community and beyond. The Zorgans, it turned out, were not just a race of conquerors. They were also masters of genetic engineering and biotechnology. They had used their advanced science to create armies of genetically enhanced warriors, each tailored to the specific environments of the worlds they sought to conquer. More disturbing still were the hints of an even greater threat lurking behind the Zorgan Empire. Fragments of data spoke of an ancient, malevolent intelligence that guided the Zorgans' actions, an entity known only as the Overlord. This revelation added a new layer of urgency to Earth's preparations. If the Zorgans were mere pawns of a greater power, then the stakes were even higher than anyone had realized. As the weeks turned into months, Earth's industries worked around the clock to produce new weapons and defenses based on the alien technology provided by Click and gleaned from the refugee ship. Giant orbital defense platforms were constructed, bristling with advanced energy weapons and shielding. The UESA's fleet of starships was retrofitted and expanded, with the Odyssey serving as the flagship of this new armada. Captain Donovan, now an admiral, oversaw the training of a new generation of officers and crew, each ready to lay down their lives in defense of their homeworld. On the ground, armies were marshaled and trained in new tactics to counter the Zorgans' genetically enhanced warriors. Dr. Novak and her team raced to develop countermeasures to the Zorgans' biotechnology, working closely with Click to create protective gear and treatments for Earth's soldiers. As the preparations continued, a sense of unity and purpose swept across the planet. Old rivalries and conflicts were set aside in the face of the common threat. Humanity, for perhaps the first time in its history, was truly united. But even as Earth readied itself for the coming storm, a new revelation emerged from the depths of the data recovered from the refugee ship. The Zorgans' conquest was not random or haphazard. It was part of a calculated strategy to acquire a specific resource found only on certain worlds. This resource, a rare element known as Zorfium, was the key to the Zorgans' advanced technology and genetic engineering. And based on the data, Earth was one of the richest sources of Zorfium in the known galaxy. The realization that Earth was not just a target, but perhaps the ultimate prize for the Zorgans, added a new level of dread to the already dire situation. It also explained the Zorgans' relentless pursuit of the refugee ship. They had been trying to eliminate any potential rivals for Earth's resources. With this knowledge, Earth's leaders realized that a defensive strategy alone would not be enough. They needed to take the fight to the Zorgans, to disrupt their plans and buy time for humanity to fully prepare. To this end, a daring plan was devised. The Odyssey, along with a small fleet of the most advanced ships, would embark on a secret mission deep into Zorgan space. Their goal, to locate and destroy the Zorgans' main genetic engineering facilities and Zorfium processing centers. It was a risky gamble, but one that could potentially turn the tide of the coming war. As the Odyssey and its companion ships slipped away from Earth under the cover of secrecy, the world held its breath, knowing that the fate of humanity might well be decided in the depths of alien space. On Earth, the preparations continued with renewed fervor. Every man, woman, and child knew that they were part of something greater than themselves, that they were fighting not just for their own survival, but for the future of their species. And so, as the ships of the USA ventured forth into the unknown, Earth stood ready, united and resolute, facing the greatest challenge in the history of humanity. The revelations of the past months had shaken them to their core, but they had also given them a new sense of purpose and determination. In the face of annihilation, they had found the strength to stand together, to fight for their right to exist. And whatever the outcome of the coming conflict, they knew that they would face it as one, united by the bonds of their common humanity in the face of the greatest threat they had ever known. Preparation. 2016 words. As the UES Odyssey and its companion ships ventured deep into Zorgan space, Earth continued its feverish preparations for the impending invasion. The revelation of the Zorgans' true objectives had lent a new urgency to the planet's defense efforts, and every resource was mobilized in the race against time. In the great industrial centers of the world, factories hummed with activity around the clock. Advanced weapons systems and defensive technologies were produced on a scale never before seen in human history. From the great shipyards in orbit, a steady stream of new warships emerged, each one bristling with the latest in human and alien technology. On the ground, armies trained relentlessly in the new tactics and strategies developed to counter the Zorgan threat. Special emphasis was placed on urban combat and guerrilla warfare, as military planners recognized that the battle for Earth would likely be fought in the streets of its great cities. In the scientific labs and research centers, teams of brilliant minds worked tirelessly to unravel the secrets of Zorgan technology and biology. Led by Dr. Liana Novak and aided by the invaluable knowledge of Click, they made great strides in developing countermeasures to the Zorgans' genetic enhancements and biological weapons. One of the most significant breakthroughs came in the form of a new type of personal armor, designed specifically to resist the Zorgans' energy weapons and provide enhanced protection against their genetically engineered warriors. This armor, dubbed the Novak suit in honor of its principal designer, was quickly put into mass production. As the preparations continued, the people of Earth found themselves united in a way they had never been before. The old divisions of nation, race, and ideology seemed to melt away in the face of the common threat. A global sense of solidarity emerged, a shared determination to defend the planet and all its inhabitants. This unity was not without its challenges, however. As the weeks turned into months, the strain of constant preparation and the looming specter of invasion began to take their toll. Tensions sometimes flared, and old rivalries threatened to resurface. But through it all, the leadership of the United Earth Space Agency and the global alliance it represented held firm. They worked tirelessly to keep the planet focused on the task at hand, to maintain the spirit of unity and resolve in the face of the coming storm. As the final pieces of Earth's defense grid fell into place, news began to filter back from the Odyssey's mission deep in Zorgan space. The reports were sporadic and often heavily encrypted, but they painted a picture of a daring campaign of sabotage and guerrilla warfare. Admiral Marcus Donovan and his crew had succeeded in locating several key Zorgan facilities, including a major genetic engineering complex and a Zorphium processing center. In a series of daring raids, they had managed to infiltrate and destroy these targets, dealing a significant blow to the Zorgans' war machine. But the victories had come at a great cost. The Odyssey and its companion ships had taken heavy damage, and many brave crew members had lost their lives in the fighting. Even Click, the stalwart Click's ally, had been gravely wounded in a final, desperate assault on a Zorgan command post. As the battered remnants of the Odyssey's strike force limped back towards Earth, they brought with them a grim morning. The Zorgans, enraged by the attacks on their facilities, were mobilizing for a full-scale invasion. Confrontation. 2052 words. The Zorgan fleet emerged from hyperspace on the outskirts of the solar system, a vast armada of sleek, menacing ships that seemed to darken the very stars. At its heart was a colossal dreadnought, a monster of a vessel that dwarfed even the largest of Earth's defenders. On the bridge of the Odyssey, Admiral Marcus Donovan watched the enemy's approach with a grim determination. The wounds of their long campaign were still fresh, the losses they had suffered a heavy weight on his soul. But as he looked out at the assembled might of Earth's defenders, he felt a surge of pride and resolve. Beside him, Click, still bearing the scars of its own sacrifices, chittered softly. "They come, as we knew they would," it said, its voice a rasping whisper. "But we are ready." Donovan nodded, his jaw set. "We are," he agreed. "And we will make them pay for every inch of space they try to take." As the Zorgan fleet closed in, Earth's defenses sprang to life. From the great orbital platforms and the mast ranks of the UESA fleet, a storm of energy weapons and missiles erupted, tearing into the enemy ships with savage fury. The Zorgans responded in kind, their own weapons filling the void with searing light and devastating force. The battle was joined, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. On the planet's surface, the people of Earth watched the unfolding battle with a mixture of fear and awe. In the great cities, giant screens relayed live feeds from the front lines, while in homes and shelters across the globe, families huddled together, praying for the safety of their loved ones and the success of Earth's defenders. In the heart of the fray, the Odyssey and its battle group fought with a desperate bravery. They wove through the enemy ranks, striking at the Zorgans' flanks and drawing fire away from the orbital platforms. The Novik suits worn by the ship's Marines proved their worth, allowing them to engage the Zorgan warriors in brutal close-quarters combat. But for all their courage and skill, Earth's forces were hard-pressed. The Zorgans' numbers seemed inexhaustible, their ships and warriors relentless in their assault. One by one, Earth's ships began to fall, while on the ground, the first drop pods of Zorgan troops began to make planetfall. In the streets and alleys of Earth's cities, a new kind of battle began. The planet's armies, supported by civilian militias, fought a desperate holding action against the Zorgan invaders. The fighting was brutal and unforgiving, each city block and building becoming a battleground unto itself. And yet, even in the darkest moments, the people of Earth refused to give in. They fought with a fierce determination, a refusal to surrender that was ingrained in the very heart of what it meant to be human. In orbit, the tide of battle began to turn. The Zorgan dreadnought, the core of their armada's strength, suddenly found itself under assault from a new quarter. A small group of ships, led by the battered but unbowed Odyssey, had managed to fight their way through to the monster vessel. In a daring maneuver, Admiral Donovan ordered a boarding action. Teams of Marines, led by Click and armed with specialized breaching gear, managed to cut their way into the dreadnought's hull. Inside, they fought their way to the ship's reactor core, planting explosive charges even as they battled wave after wave of Zorgan defenders. The resulting explosion was cataclysmic. The dreadnought burst apart, its destruction sending shockwaves through the Zorgan fleet. Deprived of their flagship and their command structure, the invaders fell into disarray. Seizing the moment, Earth's forces pressed their advantage. The UESA fleet surged forward, tearing into the disorganized Zorgan ranks, while on the ground, the planet's defenders redoubled their efforts, driving the invaders back street by hard-fought street. In the end, it was Earth that stood victorious. The Zorgan armada, broken and scattered, fled back into the depths of space, while those invaders who had made it to the planet's surface were hunted down and destroyed. But the victory had come at a terrible cost. The Odyssey, the ship that had been at the heart of humanity's struggle, had been lost in the final assault, along with Admiral Donovan and most of its valiant crew. Click, the brave Clicks who had stood by humanity's side through it all, had fallen in the final battle, sacrificing itself to ensure the destruction of the dreadnought. In the aftermath, as Earth began to rebuild from the devastation of the war, the true impact of what had happened began to sink in. Humanity had faced the greatest threat in its history, a challenge that had seemed insurmountable. And yet, through courage, determination, and sheer stubborn refusal to submit, they had prevailed. The war had changed everything. The old divisions and rivalries that had once seemed so important now seemed petty and insignificant in the face of what they had endured together. A new era had dawned, one in which humanity stood united, ready to take its place among the stars not as conquerors, but as explorers and allies. In the years that followed, as Earth reached out to other civilizations and forged new alliances, the legend of the Odyssey and its crew only grew. They became symbols of humanity's indomitable spirit, of the courage and sacrifice that had bought their species freedom. And on Earth, in a small park nestled amidst the rebuilt cityscape of what had once been a battlefield, a monument was raised. It depicted Admiral Donovan and Click standing side by side, their faces turned towards the stars. On its base, a simple inscription, "In memory of those who gave all, so that others might live free." It was a testament to a struggle that would never be forgotten, a reminder of the price of victory, and the unbreakable bonds that had been forged in the crucible of war. And as humanity looked to the future, they did so with the knowledge that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them as they always had. Together, united, unbreakable. The end.